Welcome to Pardon My Hunch, the show about real decisions we make in business and in life, and the gut instincts we trust or wish we hadn't ignored. As always, this show is brought to you by the Vibe Method, which is a process that we use and teach to help innovators and marketers nail a unique customer story and prove it will sell long before they ever build, launch, or scale anything. To find out more about how we can help you nail a killer vibe for an idea or your brand before you go live, you can go to gohunch.com. Now let's get to the show. On today's show, we have Jeff Bordes, and he is the director of marketing at True Organic, lifelong marketer, as an e-commerce expert, digital marketing expert, all the things, leading big decisions, I'm sure big and small throughout your career, jazz musician. Sorry, I had to get it in.
Yeah.
Extraordinaire. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it.
Is there anything I missed in there?
I think you got it. I think you got it.
Good. I feel like I'm like, how can I do so unless I know them super, super well? Like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I do people justice when I introduce them because there's a lot of lessons and stories I bet you could tell. So, as you know, we've talked a little bit. We're all about my company anyway, and what this podcast is about is really collecting stories.
hmm
Stories. From a business standpoint, it's often, you know, how did you decide what to launch? How did that do? Whether it's a product or a campaign, and what would you do different, all that kind of stuff. But really, it's also about life, and business and life. Sometimes it's career, whatever it is. But we've really, I mean, it's taken me decades to realize, being a data and a researcher person as background, that when you're helping, whether you're pitching something or trying to convey something, I mean, like, people, they perk up when they hear a story much more than they hear a data point or a metric, as you being a marketer, the KPIs and all the things. So, given that, I'm wondering if you can think back on a situation when you had a gut feeling about a new idea or a business direction, and you either went with it or, maybe ignored your gut, wish you hadn't. I know you talked about a few things previously, but whatever comes to mind, if you could share that story with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think my entire career is built on gut decisions.
Oh, wow.
Um, you
Let's hear
know,
it.
my big joke is, I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for music, so I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. Um,
Well, it's about jazz, right? Like, you gotta
yeah,
kind
it's
of
all
go with the flow.
improvisation. That's right.
Yeah.
So if you look at my career and the trajectory of my background, it's all kind of where the roads have just taken me. And a lot of it is the gut instincts and just that hunch that you get. Um, but one of the big projects that really tested that that process was when I was at Albertsons, which, as you may know, is the second largest grocer in the country. I came in to build out their digital marketplace, which was their version of Amazon. And we shut that down right when COVID hit. I still don't understand the reason why we shut that down. Because this is a time where everyone was going taking their shopping to digital, not to their physical store.
Albertsons, you couldn't go online at all at that before COVID, a little while ago.
We had our online. We didn't have. We were just getting into curbside pickup that was really fueled by
Okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
So e-com wasn't a big part of the ecosystem. But we were just experimenting with our marketplace, which was, when I came on, they gave me the keys to build out the way I wanted, and I built that out all around brands and products that you couldn't find in the stores. So it was almost a testing ground. And so we were testing out, new products and new categories. The marketplace is what allowed us to, gave us the data that we needed to know that plant-based foods was trending. At that time we didn't have a lot of those products in our stores, and so the marketplace actually, because of the traffic we saw online, it said, okay, this is a hot topic, so this is a hot category, so let's go ahead and bring that into our stores. So the marketplace dictated that. It was almost like just kind of a weather gauge is the way I describe it. Um, but when COVID hit, you know, everyone didn't know how to address it and how to handle what was happening in the stores specifically. The fact that shelves were, everybody's going in and clearing out shelves and stockpiling and um, the marketplace, we actually had toilet paper, whereas our stores didn't. That's the big,
Oh, wow.
the
Yeah.
joke. And but we had a new chief digital officer, Chris Rupp, who came in from Amazon. She was new to the company, and she just kind of reacted to what was going on and decided to really focus on where her energy should be spent. And so she put a pause on the marketplace, which is really what I led. And she moved me into a new role, which was to an innovative role, which is to help solve that question of what's for dinner. Everybody was in the kitchen more than ever. People were cooking that maybe hadn't cooked much in the past, and she challenged me to really solve that problem of what's for dinner tonight, especially in a COVID world where you couldn't easily go out to the restaurants and things like that. Uh,
Oh my gosh. I can relate. We are not cook. We are not creatives in the kitchen.
so you just said what you said was exactly it. Like I can relate, and that's exactly what I did. When you reached out to me about this podcast, that was the first thing that came to mind because I I looked at my okay when I'm trying to solve this big problem. The only way I could really start the beginning, I focused on what I was going through, right?
Yeah.
We're all working now remotely, and we're I remember being huddled up in my office, and from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and barely getting out to grab something to eat. And then when I would kind of surface from that cave of an office, um, my wife would ask me, "Hey, what's for dinner tonight?" I'm like, "Wait, what? What do you mean?
Right.
I've been working
DoorDash.
all day."
Yeah.
And so I put myself in that's I mean, I was in that spot. I looked at what I was going through and that was my data point. I didn't take the time to looked at data because things our lives had been shifted, turned upside down during COVID, right? And so there was no true data point to what we were going through. And so only data point I had was what right
Tuition?
that was my data point that I had, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have past data to look at because
Yeah.
everything was moving our lives had been turned upside down.
Yeah. There's no historical data for
Not
anywhere
at
in
that time.
anyone's
Yeah.
anyone's reach for a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So
So I
true.
remember so what did I need at the time? Well, I needed help planning meals for the week, and I needed help, feeding a family of for me five, and I had two vegans in the house and three non-vegans, and
Oh, geez.
so, you have that challenge as well. And this was also a time, this was early COVID, that people were nervous to go to the grocery stores. They were nervous to go, and so that was a big challenge, and so I came up with a solution that solved a problem for me. But I knew that it would also solve a problem for others because if I was facing it, others were. And that was,
Yeah.
we acquired the number one meal planning platform, which is a company called Milime, and we brought them into our ecosystem and integrated that into our app. Where now customers could go on and say, I want three dinner recipes for a family of four, and one of them doesn't like beans, and it needs to be easy to make. And it would
Wow. Is that through Albertsons app or is it branded
now
something?
on the app, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and
I live in
so
Cincinnati, so as you can imagine,
that's
Kroger is like,
Frugerland, yeah.
yeah. I don't think
Um,
they have anything like that, do they?
No, I think we were, again, we were an early adopter. That was, the platform had existed and we acquired them, but to integrate that into a grocery app where not only can you plan your meals for the week, but you can also eat with one click of a button, add the ingredients to your cart. And at that time, we were also rolling out curbside pickup. And so you could easily just have that set up to go pick up that day. And so these were things, again, these were solutions that I came up with to solve my own personal problem. But it turns out other people had the challenge as well. And so that was became a huge hit for the company.
I bet it did.
And then, with that,
I needed that
I
during the, I
know.
also need it when I did a clean eating challenge once. It's been a while through my gym. And the part of it for me, because but I don't have the cooking gene. I'm okay at
Mhm.
it, but I have to follow a recipe. The part that was so awesome is they laid everything out each week and they kept it to a week.
Yep.
What you were going to make, here's what you're going to make. But then they give you a grocery list. I mean, I'm talking exact. So
Yep.
there was really no thinking. But I love during that time, I would have totally used that app because we were trying to make things at home, hacking it, and we had no idea what we were doing.
That's right. That's right. And the cool thing about this app too is it leveraged a lot of the same ingredients, so you weren't left with leftovers. And
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, it
That's
was
nice too.
so again that was something that was self-serving because it was something just like you said, it was something I personally wanted to use um and it ended up becoming, other customers you know needed the same help. And so that was kind of the instinct decision that ended up paying off.
Oh, I mean, so lifelong marketing researcher, we like work on product concepts, so we do. And I find myself saying, and I'm basically saying it to myself as well as like my clients and folks in the room, like, well, we got to remember we're consumers. Let's think about how what are our situations, or if we're trying to find a pain point to go after, like in big corporate, you're like basically go find a pain point to fix,
Yeah.
which is what
Yeah.
you were. They
Yeah.
kind of knew the territory, right? But how to fix it, what to do
Yeah.
about it.
That's what, and that's ended up being
Know
my
yourself.
my role, is at
Yeah.
Albertsons. That was what they ended up asking me to continue doing, which is coming up with these crazy ideas that solve those pain points that customers are going through. So that was just one of the pain points, and there were other big projects that we brought to life just by looking out. Again, it's that hunch and that instinct, and what I myself and others were going through.
Yeah. So I was just about to, I think you answered the question was dancing in my head, which is that we're always methodology and techniques. It's like, okay, just let's get in a room and talk about our own
Yeah,
situation. You know what I mean? It's stupidly simple, but I imagine you carried that same process through. Well, what am
yeah,
I going through, or what are we like? We're consumers too, I guess is maybe how I'm playing this back.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I've always felt, and I would, at Albertsons, a big corporation, and prior to that, I worked for smaller businesses. And like I said, the big joke that I always say is that, I don't have my MBA. I went to school for music, so I'm just kind of making this up as I go. Fortunately, I've had a lot of home runs, and it's done well for me. But you're always challenged, or you have teammates that say, well, what are the analytics saying? Have you pulled the data on this? And I'm like, that's kind of looking backwards in my eyes. I'm always looking forward.
yeah.
Um, Data is looking backwards. And that's great to back up your decision and your hunch. The hunch that you have, you definitely need to back that up with data. But that's not where I would start. I would start with those instincts first.
Well, this podcast is not for me to toot my name and my company. It's not. But the reason I will say, like, oh, I like your name, Hunch. I named my company Hunch, right? Oh, I like that. I'm like, truly, it comes from a place of like 25, almost 30 years of rigor, right? Like, proving, testing, all the things. I love research. I still do, but like at some point, you shouldn't start with that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go do look at data or do research first and spend a bunch of money on a lot of stuff to try to find, like, start with something you feel or an instinct that you have. And same as using AI. Everybody just wants to jump in it and hope it's going to think for them. I'm like, well, it's probably going to be better for you if you guide it versus it guiding you, like
sure.
now I'm getting on my soapbox. It's not about my soapbox, but I
Yeah.
just being in marketing, right? Me being in marketing research, like we're often have to have some ammunition or something to back up
Well, it's funny
what we
because as you were
believe in.
talking, it reminded me of, I went to school for music and I spent years and still play professionally. Um, and I was always taught, especially in jazz, is the secret sauce there is learning your scales and transcribing and learning solos from the greats and memorizing all that. But the key to really uh, playing jazz is you memorize all that, you learn all that, and then you forget it. Like it's now in you and it just comes out. Now you're speaking that language. So, what you were just speaking to, you learn all that, you learn the analytics, you learn the business techniques, but then really the key is learning to let go of that and
Yes,
and then kind of go your own path.
totally. And I will say, I mean, like, especially in your younger, more kind of up and coming years in big corporate as you've been in, a lot of my clients, like they'll come to me and they'll have a new concept or an idea, or they'll have a direction or a, an edict or whatever it is that they're handed. You can just, I mean, like the amount of times I can remember when a client was really excited
Yeah,
about the thing they were kind of handed versus the times when they're sort of mad about it. I mean, there are just very few excited times. And it's like, well, how can I help them still
right.
feel like they're doing what they're being asked to do, but also find a different angle or find your workaround, find something. And it's not always possible. Not every project deserves your passion and all your energy, but I feel like too many people are just settling for meh. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen my background and it's very diverse. And
Yeah.
that's because I tend to, thankfully, I've been in roles my entire career where I've been very passionate about what I do. And I think that comes out in your work. And,
Yeah.
there was one time, it was when I left Albertsons, is when my got moved into a role that wasn't as it didn't fill that bucket for me. It didn't check off those boxes. And my daughter said, "Dad, you don't look as excited to go to work these days." I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
your
that's
kids are noticing.
a
Oh,
good point. And because I typically I've always been in a role that I was extremely passionate and excited about. And so it was at that point I decided to look at other options. And
wow.
I'm very thankful that I've, for the most part, I've always been in roles that I've just been, it fuels me.
Oh, it's hard to, I'm now at an age where I feel like I'm meant people around me all the time and people in their 20s and all the things. And it's hard to say, just follow your passion. But like truly, maybe another way to put it would be if you're not feeling it, find something, find a side, get involved in something, even at work, or find something that you like. And eventually, I mean, I've had some really great gigs and I've had jobs where they were trying to pull me into, it was going to be, I've left paths to a lot of seniority, likely, you can't say for sure, to go do something else because I'm like, I gotta go explore this or I gotta
Yeah.
do that. And I don't know. My parents always thought I was crazy, but I moved
Ah,
around more than the average person. But I wasn't doing it because I couldn't deal with corporate or because I it was always my last company was an amazing place, but I wanted to create something that I knew was going to compete against what their bread and butter is. And I was like, I think I don't know how I'll do this here. And I never dreamed I got on my own. But anyway, now you got me going. But
yeah.
what it's to, know to, gosh, know when you aren't feeling it. And what would you say to, and obviously in your case, this is your DNA. Like you're going to go find something that you want to feel passionate about. But like for people who want that, but maybe don't have that in their DNA, what would you say? Do you have any tip?
I think it's in all of us, and I think you just have to
Okay.
kind of find out uh, what gets you excited, and like you just said, I think you can find that in most roles. And I think when you find that passion point, that's when you perform your best. And
Yeah.
if you're just again, I think even like a product manager could, that could be a dry role, but I think those that perform the best actually find the heart in it. So,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh my gosh. And dabble. You beg forgiveness. Like get yourself like if somebody's doing something in another division, in another function, or maybe this brand. Like I come from a P&G where there are people in all these different brands, and like if you can find a way to just dabble and
well,
get yourself involved, maybe you'll find your way to something different.
I mean, I think, when I was at Albertsons, one of the things I did that I absolutely loved, and I now hear from those that were on my team that, that they speak quite a bit about this, was every week I would have a brainstorming session where I would get my team into a room and we would just come up with crazy ideas that were not no one had thought of yet, and crazy ideas that really would benefit our customers. And I would say 99% of those ideas were had no, they didn't have legs, and that was fine. And some did, and so just that practice of kind of getting yourself out of your day-to-day um, job, and forcing yourself to be creative and get those creative juices going. Um, I think that right there had a benefit. Songwriters, they always say, force yourself to write a new song every week. And even if
Wow.
that song never gets recorded, it's getting the juices going.
Yeah. When you
So
said that, I was like, just getting the team together and it's like a relaxing
it's
way to
fun.
connect, you know? Like
Yeah.
there's value in the whole your team camaraderie, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone has fun coming up with, and again, this team was made up of product. They were mostly product managers. So they were mostly coming up with more digital solutions and things like that that
Yeah.
didn't weren't as fun as
Interesting.
coming up with a restaurant concept, for
Yeah,
example.
they get a chance to like go over here and say, well, what if we did make do this thing better on our app or pick,
Yeah,
like interesting. You get people who seemingly wouldn't necessarily have value to add of that suddenly have sometimes the best ideas come from the most outside.
I agree with that.
It's true. It's like have somebody from the outside in your do you have it? And I know we're gonna have to wrap here in a minute, but I'm curious if you have like tip or a technique that you would suggest for people to use in these internal sessions you had? Because I think every client I've ever worked with is trying to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I think really it is. It's just forcing yourself to think outside the box, and so force. And I know that's such a cliche and such a, but it's really getting yourself to think a different track. And so for us, it started with really putting ourselves in the shoes of our customers and identifying, like we talked about earlier, what pain points they were going through, and then just coming up with crazy ideas and throwing it up on a wall and seeing what sticks. And the more that you get in that habit of doing that, the easier it becomes, I would say.
Yeah, my crazy idea is just know that I'm 21, so I don't have to stand at the kiosk and wait
Hmm.
for somebody to come over when I want to buy my beer at
Right.
Kroger.
That's right.
There's got to be a scanner or some way they can know.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I gotta wait. I've got beer. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
all trying to get through really
I
quick.
know.
Well,
I know.
now you're at True Organic, right?
Yeah.
I I have to admit, when I first heard the words, I was thinking food brand. I'm like, wait a minute, for the soil. You want to do just a quick plug on True Organic? Seems like a really
Yeah.
cool company.
So they're the largest organic fertilizer company in the world. And
Yeah.
it was a shift for me. I spent 15 plus years working in the food world, and many of those was working with celebrity chefs. And so when I moved over to fertilizer, I definitely got a lot of questions like, what are you doing? But
Oh, I'm
but the
sure.
reality is, I mean, good quality food starts with good quality ingredients, which really start with the soil. And True Organic, they feed all the largest organic farms in the country. So you go to a grocery store, and most of the organic produce you see in your grocery store is probably fed by True Organic. And then they also have the retail brand, which you can find at nursery and
Okay.
home and garden centers throughout the country.
Oh,
And so they're really doing it right. It's truly you know good ingredients, organic, good for the soil, and it works. And so it's a company that really has stands on principles and values, and they really stand behind what they make.
oh, I can feel your passion.
It's
I
again,
felt
it was weird at first getting in this space, but and you may want to bleep this out, but my daughter said, my kids grew up around marketing and they know the marketing terms, and they've been a part of my world. And my daughter, who was 13 at the time, said, Dad, it's okay, you're making shit sexy.
I was like, whatever he's gonna say, it's gonna be about soil. I'm gonna go, I'm not bleeping it out. Making shit
Um,
sexy. What a tagline.
and
Make,
and that's what I'm trying to do. So this is an industry that tends to be a little bit dry, and
yeah.
trying to turn this into more of a lifestyle brand. And because people are wanting to they finally people are concerned with what goes into the soil.
Oh my gosh. And farming and farmers. And I'm not, I don't know much about it other than my impression, from a few friends. There's like, especially if you're getting sort of certified organic and what you just have to believe in to go through that feels like a lot. It just seems like it's a big expense and time for the farming agricultural industry in general.
It's definitely a commitment, and yeah, and we're starting to see again, I think consumers are more concerned with what goes in the soil, and they're now understanding what organic stands behind, um and so it's important. And so to continue to support our farmers here in our country,
Yeah.
um we have strict rules around organic farming, whereas you go outside the country and it's not as strict. And so that's a concern, right? If you're buying
Hmm.
fruit, grown in Mexico, it may not be farmed organically, even though it says organic.
Oh, really? Really?
So there's that as well.
Yeah. Well, you said people thought it was a crazy transition, but you're going from making soy, what did you say? Making shit
It's
sexy
sexy.
to working with, all the way to foodie and
Yeah,
professional chefs, which is sexy. So like sexy has to start somewhere.
has to start somewhere.
I'm
That's
trying to
right.
I'm making the connection, right?
There you go.
Well, thanks so much for being here today. This is so fun.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that people would there will be people that hear this, especially like some of the clips, especially somebody in innovation and marketing. Ooh, I just want to hear how he did it. So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they want to network or
You
learn
can
more
find
about
me
you?
on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
for sure, Jeff Bordes, and on all the social channels. Even
Okay.
though most of them are,
Bordes,
yeah,
correct? Jeff
most of them
Bordes.
are music driven, but
Yeah.
that works too.
Yeah, we could plug that too. You just go to Spotify, everyone. If you like jazz, Jeff Bordes,
That's right.
the artist on Spotify, because I'll be doing that right after we get done here. I'm going to put some
Awesome.
jazz on.
Yeah, you like it.
So cool. All right. Well, everybody should check that out. As a reminder to everyone listening, the show is brought to you by the Vibe Method, which is a process we use and teach innovators and marketers to nail a unique customer story, prove it will sell before they go live. To find out more how you can nail your vibe before you go live, because we like to rhyme, you go to gohunch.com. The link to the show, or link to that will be in the show notes. And then until next time, always remember the worst thing you can do with a hunch is ignore it.